Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast, your daily LGBTQ plus news briefing. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. And today is Wednesday, June the 17th. We are on day 17 of Pride Month. And as always, there is a lot happening. Today's episode is a big one. We have 8 stories for you covering everything from what went down on the White House lawn this weekend, to a murder arrest in Louisiana, to why England's queer soccer fans are sitting this World Cup out. So let's get into it. UFC fighter goes low at the White House. So we're leading with this one because it happened on the South Lawn of the White House on live television, and the administration has barely said a word. This past Sunday, the Orange Convicted Felons White House hosted the UFC Freedom 250, part of the country's 250th anniversary celebrations. Heavyweight fighter Josh Hokit won his match that night against Derek Lewis, and then during his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, he wrapped up his remarks by shouting out from nowhere, and lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? Rogan said nothing. He literally just looked flustered for a moment and moved on to introduce the next segment. On the South Lawn, the reaction was largely shocked silence. In the watch party on the eclipse, where tens of thousands of people had gathered, there was a mix of cheers and deeply confused looks. The Orange Convicted Felon was seen smiling briefly after the comment, and when reporters asked the White House to respond, Communications Director Steve Chung said the fighter had a great win last night. That was it. This is not the first time Hokit has done this. He said the same thing about Michelle Obama after a fight in May of 2025, before he even had a UFC contract. He also called WNBA star Brittany Griner a man during a post-fight interview in January of 2026 and received no official discipline from the UFC. The one notable response came from the UFC president, Dana White, who texted Time magazine saying he is completely against saying nasty and false things about people's families and called it nonsense. Better late than never, Dana. So let's be clear about what happened here. A transphobic, misogynistic asshole, one rooted in years of racist conspiracy theories about Michelle Obama, was aired live on television, an event hosted by the Orange Convicted Felon of the United States. And nobody in power stopped it, challenged it, or condemned it. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are right now. And I'll just say, I seen Michelle Obama in person at a restaurant in New York City about 2 months ago. She is stunningly beautiful. She is amazing. She's 100% woman, and she is more woman than that guy could ever get in his life. So, and he's so transphobic, that means he's probably hiding something. I don't know why people would say something so rash and horrible, but that's who he is, an asshole. Next, arrests made in the murder of trans woman Marlow Trottie. An arrest has been made in connection with the killing of Marlow Trottie, a 35-year-old Black transgender woman found dead in Alexandria, Louisiana on June 8th. Police have charged Taylor Weatherspoon, 29, with second-degree murder. Bond was set at $1 million. Marlow's mother wrote on Facebook that her daughter was thrown out of a parking lot after being murdered in her home. Friends who knew her described her as literally the sweetest person, someone known for her smile, her humor, and her kindness. She was the 11th known trans person killed in the last 3 months, the 14th on the year overall, and advocates have pointed out she is the 6th Black trans woman on the list in 2026 alone. An arrest is a step forward for accountability, but accountability isn't justice, and justice isn't restoring her life. Marlow Trottie deserved to be alive, and we rest in power. Next, the VA is coming for LGBTQ plus veterans' health programs. In another devastating move from this administration, a new internal memo obtained by the advocate directs the Department of Veterans Affairs to eliminate what it calls DEI gender identity-based and gender ideology-based programs, initiatives, and services. This means specialized health care resources for LGBTQ plus veterans, people who have served this country, are now in the crosshair. Advocates are alarmed that the memo could effectively erase LGBTQ plus specific programs that help veterans navigate health care, connect with affirming providers, and access mental health support. We're talking about people who put their lives on the line are now being told their identities and needs are politically inconvenient. The administration continues to wrap itself while actively stripping care from the very people who earned it most. This is not honoring our veterans. This is betraying them. Next, 5 men arrested for using Grindr to rob gay men in Malaysia. Switching now to international news, 5 men in Malaysia have been arrested for allegedly using the gay dating app Grindr to lure, rob, and assault gay men. According to police, the gang created fake profiles on the app to set up dates, then picked up victims in a car. Once the victims was inside, an accomplice posing as a security guard would appear and accuse the victim of committing indecent acts in public. The victim would then be assaulted, robbed of cash and valuables, and forced to hand over their debit card PIN so the gang could drain their accounts before releasing them. 9 men were victimized in total. 3 of the 5 men have been charged with armed robbery, and the other 2 agreed to testify against their accomplices. The case has particular weight because Malaysia criminalizes homosexuality under secular and Islamic law, meaning the victims of this scam were not robbed and assaulted, but they had essentially no safe legal recourse to report what happened. This is what happens when a community is made criminal. Predators know there will be no consequences. Sick. These people are sick. Next, England's official LGBTQ+ soccer fan group is boycotting the World Cup. The 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup is currently underway across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and England's official LGBTQ+ supporters group, Three Lions Pride, is not there. The group made the decision months ago, releasing a statement saying that hopes for an inclusive tournament had been well and truly shattered. They cited what they called a dangerous rollback of human rights in the United States, particularly for transgender people, as a central reason for their boycott. One member told Amnesty International that as a queer person, he would not be able to be visible. He could not visibly be himself at a number of World Cup locations. The group also raised concerns about U.S. travel bans, visa refusals linked to social media activity, and fears around immigration enforcement disproportionately around fans of color. This was supposed to be the World Cup that LGBTQ fans could finally look forward to after the Russia and Qatar. That hope didn't survive the current political climate in the United States, so let that land. Next, Niger criminalizes homosexuality under military junta. More grim news from West Africa. Military junta has seized control of Niger in 2023, has now formalized a criminalization of homosexuality in the country's new penal code. The new law imposes 5 to 10 years in prison. Homosexuality was not formally illegal before 2025, though LGBTQ+ people face severe stigma. That changed last year when criminalization began, and the new penal code now makes it official. This follows similar moves from its neighbors, including Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, and Ghana, a regional wave of increasing repression. Advocates and human rights organizations have pointed directly to anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric coming out of the United States as a continuing contributing factor. When the U.S. abandons its role as a global advocate for human rights, other countries feel emboldened, and queer people pay the price. There are now 66 countries in the world that criminalize homosexuality. Unbelievable. We are moving backwards. Our next story is Alabama anti-trans law didn't need to pass to cause harm. This one is fascinating and disturbing look at how an anti-LGBTQ+ legislation causes damage even when it fails. Alabama's House Bill 244, which would have restricted discussions of LGBTQ+ topics in classrooms, never actually passed. It died in legislation. But a new report finds that it fundamentally changed classroom behavior anyway. Teachers, out of fear of the law passing or being accused of violating something similar that already existed, begin self-censoring. Students notice educators who previously felt safe being visible are suddenly pulling back. The climate shifted even without the law taking effect. This is mechanism of the targeted legislation at its most rapid pace. You don't need to win. You need to make people afraid. And right now, a lot of educators across the country are afraid. And our next story, San Francisco LGBTQ+ Film Festival opens today. So let's close out with something worth celebrating because community and culture matter, especially this month. The San Francisco International LGBTQ+ Film Festival, the oldest in the world, founded in 1977, kicks off today and runs through June 27th, featuring more than 70 films and venues across San Francisco and Oakland. Nearly 50 years of queer cinema still going strong. If you're in the Bay Area this week or next, go and support it. And if you're not there in person, look up what's streaming. Follow along online and take a moment to appreciate what it means that queer storytelling has its own landmark festival, and one that has survived every wave of backlash this country has ever faced. That's the energy we're carrying for the rest of this month. So this is Listen Up Girl for Wednesday, June 17th. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. Stay informed, stay engaged. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody. Also, please leave a review on Apple or on Spotify or Amazon or however you're listening to this, because the more reviews we get, the more people will hear this. And I'll be back tomorrow for more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks for listening.